Welcome to Hardwood Handicappers with Zach Cohen, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Zachary Cohen, VSiN.com senior editor with another episode of Hardwood Handicappers. Today is Thursday, February 26th. We are recording this at 9 a.m. Eastern, and today I am joined by Jonathan Von Tobel, co-host of Money Moves. JVT, how's everything going?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Basketball has been fantastic. We had some good games. We've had a lot of fun races. The award stuff is getting good. So we're in the home stretch and really excited about the next few weeks.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, the games have been good. I know that the talk of the NBA is about how bad things are with tanking, but you still get a couple of really good games every night. It's just going to pretty much shorten the slate every week, every single night. Honestly, it's like 15 games can be whittled down to 3 or 4 that are really good. It is what it is. There's still some awesome games to talk about, but yeah, we have a lot of picks to get into for tonight. But I did quickly want to get your thoughts on something that I know impacts a future that you and I both have. But James Harden yesterday, it's announced that he fractured his right thumb, will play through the injury. Does it worry you at all? Just as a Cavaliers, I believe you're a Cavaliers backer now, the Eastern Conference and potentially the NBA Finals.
It doesn't really. So I was telling this to Stormy yesterday on Money Moves. So if I just told you, hey, James Harden broke his thumb, you're like, holy smokes, that sounds terrible. If you actually look at the details of the injury, it's a non-displaced fracture, and it's essentially the bone at the tip of his thumb in his non-shooting hand. So that, if you put it in that context, that seems way less damaging for James Harden and what he can do. And like you said, he plans on playing through it. I mean, yesterday he was like questionable up until almost game time, despite the fact that we had learned this. So I'm not too worried about this. A lot of players, I was reading some of the history on this. If they do miss time, it's like maybe 4-ish games, something like that. So even if they decide to put him to the wayside and say, hey, heal up, he should be fine very quickly for this team. So I think you're feeling relatively good still about what looks like, I said it yesterday on the show, like I'm in. They're the best team in the Eastern Conference. They fit exactly like I thought they were going to together. I was going to say Davion Mitchell because I have the Heat injury report up. Donovan Mitchell and James Harden together. And I made fun of some folks because the second this trade was made, you got the cliche, like, was there enough basketballs to go around? Dude, they're such good fits together. Yeah. And then once you get Strus back, like, this team really works. And I think that there's no question that they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. And I know I'm rambling, but I'll say my add to this last point. It's fitting that we watched the way that the Pistons lose that game the other night to the San Antonio Spurs. One of the biggest weaknesses for the Pistons is the fact that they just don't have another shot creator outside of Cade Cunningham that you really trust when he's getting guarded by a Stephon Castle. The Cavaliers have that, and that is going to make a massive difference for them in the postseason.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was really nervous when I just saw the report. I didn't really look at it at all. But fact it's non-shooting hand also. Like, I'm just really not worried about it. I do think that also, like, the Harden that they acquired is like the playmaker Harden first, more so than the scorer Harden, even though he has had some big games already and knocked down some big shots. But yeah, I'm also completely with you with, like, I think the Cavaliers are the best team in the East. I feel pretty strongly about that also. Like, I'm not trying to hate on the Pistons, but I just don't think the Pistons are ready. I think the Knicks have been, proven to be not fraudulent, but very weak defensively. And then the Celtics, it's just a lot of uncertainty with Tatum. I think the Cavaliers are actually the most, like, solidified team as we look at this point in the season. I think they're only going to get better too. Like you said, Max Strus sounds like he's going to come back at some point, at least according to Kenny Atkinson. And I think that, the trade that they made for both Schroeder and Ellis was also really big. Like, they just have so much depth for a playoff series. I absolutely love it. So yeah, very high on the Cavaliers. Still think it's going to be fine.
And ball handling and just shot creation, right? I mean, that's the best part about it. It's, at times you get these teams that just kind of run into that wall where it's like, man, we only have like 1, maybe 2 guys that can do something for himself and for others. They have it in droves in Cleveland. Yeah. Like, there's a few guys who are going to be able to do that. You mentioned the pieces like Schroeder and others who are going to be able to come off the bench and do this for them as well. So I just think that's such a big deal when you get to a postseason where the game plan is going to be hyper specific. You're going to try to attack some weaknesses. And we should say, they're probably going to have some issues on defense. They're going to have to outscore a ton of people. I mean, you look at the defensive rating with Mitchell and Harden on the floor together, it's floating around like 120. That's not particularly great, but they're going to be so good on offense. And I think they're going to be well schemed enough with that front court that they're going to be able to offset some of the issues that they will run into defensively in the postseason.
Yeah, and I'll have, like, I've always been a bit of a doubter of, like, the 2 big lineup, but, like, when you have 2 playmakers like that on the floor together, you're making both of them better, much better offensively. So definitely, helps with that deficiency as well. But let's get on to tonight's games. There is a lot to talk about. I'll throw this to you first, and, like, almost like a 2-part question, but How do you treat the tanking teams? Because I've talked about it a little bit with my strategy, and I believe I've talked about it on your show with you and Stormy, but how do you treat it? And is there anything you want to do with all the tanking teams tonight? Because it's, like I said, it's a loaded slate. What is there? 10 games, but like only 3 of them are interesting to me. I believe 6 of them involve some of the tankers. So how do you do it?
So not every year is the same, but this year I've decided to flirt with the I think it's the old Gil Alexander method when like tanking was like really hardcore and solid. You could really bank on it, which is, do you just start putting some money line parlays together and start playing against some of these teams? So not yesterday, but the day before, I think we had the 2 of the 3 tanking teams in action. I believe the Nets were playing. There was one more, and then I paired up the Hornets with the Bulls. There was like a 3-team money line parlay that came out to about like minus 127 or so. And it got there. And then again today, you get these tanking teams, and it also helps if you have some of these spots where you can put together some of the advantages they give you. So, for example, I put together a money line parlay today, Zach. I'm pulling this up right now so I can get it right for you. Hornets against the Pacers, Hawks against the Wizards, Spurs against the Nets. I did toss in the Pelicans, which might be a little dicey. We'll see if that's the case. But then I also used MGM. I put this in an MGM, and why that matters is I had an odds boost token, so I threw that in there as well to kind of get a little bit more out of it. So that's paying me plus 160 on a 14 money line parlay, fading some of these tanking teams. Like I said, I think the Pelicans leg is the weakest of those, and it's the shortest favorite. But that's kind of how I'm flirting with messing against these tanking teams. Maybe throw some money line parlays together if the price isn't too extravagant, and see if you can just kind of string some of those wins together, because they have been losing in extravagant fashion.
Yeah, I also, if I'm not mistaken, the Pelicans game is late enough that you might know the results, or at least most of the results for the first 3. So yeah, don't hate that one at all. I was nervous you were going to tell me that you had like the Kings or Mavericks, because I don't know what to do when the tanking teams play each other. It's just like a coin flip, or like a game of Russian roulette where both players are holding a gun or something. I don't even know, but it's crazy. Pelicans, Jazz, like Jazz have 2 days off. I don't think it matters. I think you're right that like New Orleans is still playing for something. I mean, not really, but they think they are, but they are playing hard enough.
But, and I think that's important. It's like you said, they're not really playing for anything. They don't have a first round pick, but they're not motivated to lose. And I think that's the important part. And I think the other part of it too that is sneaky about this, and looking at the injury report, I believe DeJounte Murray is going to be back out there for a second game so far this season. I think you're also motivated, if you're New Orleans, to put a guy like Murray in a position to succeed, because maybe in the offseason you want to trade him, or maybe in the next trade deadline where he's got some more games under his belt in the regular season, you want to make sure that he's great. You've got young players that you want to develop. Like, there is a strategy here in place for the Pelicans where they're going to want to win these games, or at least put their best foot forward. Meanwhile, the Jazz, we'll see. Adam Silver's investigating the Lauri Markkanen MRI today, which is going to be incredible. He's officially questionable. Keontae George has disappeared off the face of the earth. He's questionable today too. So we'll see if both or one of those guys gets out there. My guess would be we see George, but maybe not Markkanen. Might hurt me a little bit here, but the same point here. I think the Pelicans are motivated to put their best foot forward every night.
Yeah, I actually jokingly tweeted at one point that like Adam Silver should be sitting there during these surgeries with junior mints like Cosmo Kramer, but like now they actually will be sending independent investigators. It is crazy, like the amount of just injuries that have popped up that I guess these players were willing to play with. It's like after like the NHL playoffs or something, when you just find out every player had something that they needed surgery on, but it's just these bad teams that I guess were forcing bad players to play. I don't know. It's crazy, but yeah, it's something. I don't really know what to make of it, but yeah, let's get into some of the games that actually matter for tonight. We'll start with the Heat at the 76ers. I'm actually looking forward to this game. Joel Embiid is probable for Philadelphia. This game tips at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is the Sixers laying 1.5. Totals 240.5. Do you have anything in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit here, and I think some handicappers would say it's a dangerous spot more in college basketball than anything, but I'll lay 1.5 with Philly at home today against Miami. Embiid, as you mentioned, looks like he's going to play probable. I never trust anything until it happens, but I would assume that he's going to be out there. Last time out, he played against Indiana, was very solid, 27.6 rebounds, 5 assists on 11 of 17 shooting. His last 11 games, Embiid has been unreal. He's really started to find his groove over his last 11 starts. For anybody who doesn't know off the top of their head, 32.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, 5 assists on 53% shooting from the floor. You can round it up to 54 because it's 53.8. And overall, Zach, with him on the floor, they've played really well. For the season, they're 20-12 straight up in his 32 starts. But look at his last 19. They're 13-6 ATS. He has provided something better for the Philadelphia 76ers. And while the Heat come into this game, they're in relatively good form. They've covered 9 out of the last 14 games. They've outscored their opponents over that stretch by 10.1 points every 100 possessions. But there's a lot of noise, I think, in this stretch that the Heat are on. Over this course of games that they have won and covered, they have a 31-point win over Utah. They got a 43-point win over Chicago. They've got a 31-point win, over Washington. So they're just blowing out some bad teams and still losing some of these games. I'm not going to buy into the recent sample size for Miami. I think Embiid makes a difference here at home for Philly, and I laid the short number at home with them.
Yeah, I guess that's the benefit of being a non-tanking team in the Eastern Conference. I leaned Miami yesterday. I didn't know Joel Embiid was going to play. Now that Embiid's going to be out there, I do think the Sixers are the right side. I ended up playing Tyrese Maxey. And it's funny you broke it down by last 11 because I wrote it the last 11 games that Maxey has played with Embiid, 8.3 assists per game, 8+ assists in 8 of the 11. And Miami, a good defensive team, but still number 1 in the league in pace of play. Also, I don't know why, but I feel like the eye test with them says that the defense is not as good as the defensive rating says it is. I don't know what's going on there, but I do think this is a gettable matchup for Maxey as a passer. He only had 6 assists the last time he faced them in November, but he had 15 potential assists in that game. So it's plus money. It's plus 112 to go 8+. I think he could do that tonight.
Yeah, I think I would agree with all those points. I mean, because like we said, if you look at just Miami, these teams that they're beating the crap out of, I shouldn't say it's not that hard to play well defensively, but I don't know if it really is that hard when these teams are sitting these guys and you're beating the crap out of them and you're really inflating some of your defensive numbers here. So we'll see if that's the case. And I just think, too, from a number standpoint, I mean, if Embiid's out there, they're not, I mean, I don't know what you rate home court at this point, but they're not at the very least equals with Miami or maybe even better than Miami. This number just seems oddly short given the situation, too. It's not like it's a second leg of a back-to-back or, a bad rest situation. It's a generally neutral spot, a scheduling spot for Philadelphia.
Yeah, unless it's not factoring in Embiid playing and it's going to move to 3.5 or 4 when he's announced as in. I don't think it's going to. So I agree with you. The number just seems way off. I don't think this is a hot take. I have Philly as a better team than Miami. So playing in Philly, I don't know why they're not favored by a little bit.
Maybe it's because Paul George is out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Paul George is my new comp for what Boston needs Tatum to be when he comes back. This version of Paul George.
Absent?
No, not this version. Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah. Pre-suspension Paul George. Yeah. And still a Paul George that people probably made fun of a lot, but I do think that'd be fine for Boston.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, attention any listeners who are new to VSiN. Signing up for our free daily newsletter is a great way to catch up. Delivered straight to your inbox every morning, VSiN's newsletter offers picks, data, and strategies for the day's betting menu. Sign up for free now at vsin.com/newsletter and start receiving your free newsletter tomorrow morning. That's vsin.com/newsletter. Stay ahead of the game and bet smarter with VSiN. All right. Well, we're skipping a few more now. Like I said, it's a pretty bad slate. We're moving now to Rockets at Magic, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Magic are 2.5-point underdogs in this game. The total is 215.5. And I put in a play on this last night, and I think I got a bad number if I'm looking into it right now. Yeah, I did. I took the Magic money line at plus 118, and you could do a little bit better than that right now.
Yeah, we're on the same side. I took 2.5. I don't really get this in terms of, in some spots open 1.5 or up to 2.5. That point move is not the biggest deal in the world. I just don't understand it. It's a bad scheduling spot for the Rockets. They're playing the third game in 4 nights. And yes, I think it was the Jazz and the Kings who they beat in their first 2 games. So it's not that big of a deal both at home. But third game in 4 nights, second leg of a back-to-back. Magic pretty quietly over the last, month have kind of been playing a lot better since I have it down since January 28th, 8-4 straight up. They've covered 7 of those games. Their defense has been awesome over that stretch. They're kind of back to their old ways from that perspective. 111 points allowed per 100 possessions in non-garbage time, 7th best over the last month, outscoring opponents by just about 4 points. The offense is still going to have its issues, and maybe part of the reason why the market kind of feels the Houston Rockets here. I don't know if we know. Obviously, it's pretty early. Amen Thompson didn't play last game, so maybe he's going to be in here, but Zach, I look at this, and the Rockets are not a team that offensively threatens you, I think, in any way, shape, or form. If I get the Magic team that are going to play this way, and if Jalen Suggs is going to be out there, I could see a pretty ugly contest. I know this has kind of been floating around like 215, that the Magic find themselves in a position to win. I'm not in this spot where I think the Rockets are so much better than Orlando that they should be laying 2.5 in a very negative scheduling situation against the Magic.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's pretty much my handicap. This is a huge rest advantage for the Magic, even though they are coming back from the West Coast. I think that it's still a pretty favorable rest spot. You said it, like these teams have not been that different recently. Like over the last 10 games, both 6-4. Magic top 5 defensive team in the league in terms of defensive rating in those last 10 games, and I'm at the point where it's like, it doesn't really matter which one it is, but when one of the two of Banchero and Wagner's on the floor, the team's just better when one of them is missing. I do think it's better when Wagner's out there and Banchero's out, but like I do think there's something to those two just not being able to play very well together. Maybe it's just because they haven't played that much together because they're always injured, but like it just always seems like they're like working their way into form or chemistry, and they just haven't quite been able to do it, and they just look more comfortable on both ends of the floor without one of them.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I mean, you saw it, and I know Wagner's been out, but like, look at the Lakers game, right? And the Lakers don't really have like a wing defender for Paolo Banchero, but has a really good game. I think it was at 11 of 22 from the floor, showed that he could still be the primary and dominant scorer that he can be. I think that's, I don't know if he'll do that here because the Rockets are much better suited to defend him, but I just think overall that my struggles in buying in with the Houston Rockets have always been, dude, this half-court offense has stunk no matter who they've played. And now you're going to run into a big, long, good defensive team, and I'm supposed to expect, by the way, who have multiple bodies, I should say, for a guy like Kevin Durant. You're never going to shut Durant down, but you feel comfortable in one-on-one matchups across the board with Orlando that this team's going to be able to get this done here at a negative spot. So I would agree with all your points, too, and we'll see what Banchero can do tonight.
Yeah, and like Isaac has actually played pretty well lately. Like I thought he did a really good job like defending Luka last game, so he might be one of the guys that they bring in to defend Durant a little bit. But yeah, I'm disappointed in Houston. I don't really know what Ime Udoka is doing at this point. Like at some point, you just got to throw Shepherd out there for 33, 34 minutes a night, deal with the consequences because your offense late in games is just awful.
Yep. Oh, and it's funny you said like deal with the consequences. Your team is solid enough that, I mean, the consequences are going to be like, man, we give up like 2 more points per 100 possessions, maybe. You desperately need some sort of floor spacing and some sort of other shot creation other than, hey, KD, catch this grenade, please, and see if you can do something. It's been absolutely awful. And for our audience's context, they currently ranked 19th in half-court offense right now, according to Cleaning the Glass, 96.3 points. But they supplement it by just dominating the offensive glass. Well, with Adams out, that's been weaker since he hasn't been there. So you haven't even been generating the second chance opportunities. And by the way, they're so bad on offense, despite the fact that they're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. This is one of my favorite stats about them. So Cleaning the Glass has that metric, right? The points per miss or the plays per miss per 100 missed shot attempts. But the points per 100 plays on an offensive rebounds or putbacks, they're 29th. They can't even generate second chance that points when they get the opportunity. So I'm with you. Like, he can't be that bad. He's not going to be so bad that one of the best defensive teams in the league turns into like the Lakers. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, every player surrounding him is long, athletic. Like it should be able to be fine. They need to just deal with it, bite the bullet at some point. Yep. Otherwise, they're just not going anywhere. Like that's really the reality.
I just learned the other day. Do you know where the "bite the bullet" phrase comes from? Like the origins?
No.
So apparently it's a war thing, obviously, like when they had to like amputate you or amputate in the field or do some sort of procedure, they would give you a bullet to bite on so that they could do, you know what I mean? Do war medical stuff to you.
Damn, that seems painful too. I'd be like complaining about my teeth.
Right. Yeah. That sounds, I mean, I guess in comparison to whatever's being removed from your body, it probably doesn't hurt that bad.
That's true. All right. Lakers Suns game tips at 9 p.m. Eastern. Lakers are 4.5 points favorites. Totals 219.5. I actually don't have any thoughts on this game. Like I don't have any plays on this game or leans. I have thoughts, but no Devin Booker, no Dylan Brooks, no Jordan Goodwin for Phoenix. Very nervous about where things are going with the Suns because of the injuries, and that's where I stand with the Suns right now.
So that's why I wanted to ask you. So I've been on this, and this has been my. I don't think I've shared this with you. Maybe I have, because I don't know if we've had a Lakers game together or not when I've done this pod. But my angle for the Lakers has been very simple: good team, fade them. Yep. Bad team, play them. And it pans out in all of the different numbers you want to look at breakout. Now, the Suns are kind of in the middle of the pack, but you mentioned the injuries with Booker, Brooks, Goodwin. Like, there's nobody out there of consequence. This team's really starting to kind of slide. Sorry, Zach, it's been painful to watch a little bit, but not because of like lack of effort and quality play. It's just that guys aren't out there. This feels no data points at all. After that loss to Orlando, getting a beat-up Suns team, you have to go on the road to do it, but it's not a long trip. It feels like a spot to play LA. You have all three of you guys out there in Reeves and Doncic and LeBron. You're well coached enough that I think you could take advantage of a shorthanded team. Yeah, I think you'd want Hachimura out there, but it's not the deal breaker for me in any way, shape, or form. It just feels like a situation to back LA here on the road.
Yeah, I think that LA, at least like in a money line parlay or something too, if you want to throw them in with some of the tanking teams or something, like I do think the Lakers will win this game. I also think something working against the Suns is like they need like a rest spot to catch up. They need like a 2 days off at some point because they had a really tough 3 games in 4 nights where they played a double overtime game against the Magic. And it would be fine if they were like a normal team right now, but playing without Booker, without Brooks, like just guys are like strained a little bit more than they normally would be. And Gillespie, like especially, is like just kind of wearing at this point in the season because he's never really played this big of a role on an NBA team before. And I just think you're just seeing these guys like looking a little bit more tired. So I think they're going to need like 2 days off at some point to just kind of get back to where they were. And obviously the return of Booker will help, but that will not be tonight. I think it'll be some point over the weekend, but we'll see. Like they are sliding right now. Definitely concerning times. I mean, Brooks is just so important to the team. It's crazy to say that, but he changed the culture. Like maybe in like a year or two, he runs his course and we all hate him. But like for now, he's responsible for turning this team around.
Did you see there was a graphic? I think Justin, our producer, sent this to me the other day, and it was because all these guys are missing time and the awards are up in the air. And so there was a list of guys that's like, these guys are maybe in danger of missing out on award season because of the eligibility rule. And it said like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and then Devin Booker. And I was like, I feel like one of these names, like Booker's been good, but like I don't know what is he up for?
Maybe like 3rd team All NBA.
Yeah,
that's the best case there. He doesn't have any other cases. So yeah.
Not to denigrate Devin Booker. It's been a good season, but it's just I was like, am I missing something? Maybe I didn't have anything here.
It has been it's been a good year, and like they've been good when he's been on the floor too. Maybe that's just Brooks too. But yeah, it's just sad times here. All right, well, let's move on to potentially better times for one of our teams. Timberwolves at Clippers, 10 p.m. Eastern tip. Timberwolves are 5.5 point favorites. Totals 225.5. Anything for you in this game?
Well, I want to see if Kawhi is going to play because Collins is still questionable from that. I can't even remember what game it was, but that tumble that he took where he busted his face open. Was it the Lakers game, I think? Yeah, it was the Lakers. Jackson Hayes did it to him. There's still no Darius Garland, but if you get Kawhi Leonard, this is a really good scheduling spot. I mean, the Clippers have been off for about 3 days or so they've been rested and they're ready to go. And I'm glad you brought this game up because I didn't really have much outside of leaning toward the Clippers if Kawhi plays. I also, what do you do with Minnesota? I mean, this is a team from a power rating standpoint that the market very much believes in could be like it's almost power rated to like a Western Conference finalist type level. You look at the last few games, though. 6.5 point favorite against Portland, barely get by. 9.5 point favorite against Philly, they lose the game outright. 14 point favorite against Dallas, don't cover that number. They're 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 games, and they're 25-34 for the season. The market's just been way too high on Minnesota every step of the way, and I can't really trust them. I think we were texting about this the other day in the Harvard Handicappers group chat. I mentioned, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this team on a night-to-night basis. I can see the vision to an extent, but I just don't have any results or data points that would tell me I can trust them laying this number against the Clippers unless Kawhi Leonard is not going to play tonight.
Yeah, so I took the Clippers plus 5.5 last night. I also took some money line at plus 185. I looked at the Kawhi situation and like I see that he's questionable. That's never a good thing with Kawhi, but I don't get why. Like he played on Sunday.
Yep.
They've had 3 days off. They don't play again until Sunday after this. So, like, I'd just be really surprised if he's not out there. I don't understand, like, what's going on. Granted, that's kind of normal with Kawhi that, like, he'll sit tonight for no reason. But if he's out there, I agree with you. This is a game that they can win. Since the deadline, they're 4-3, and they have the 9th best points allowed per 100 possessions. They've been solid defensively. I think Mathurin's looked really, really good as, like, a wingman for Kawhi. And like you just said, like, I actually am one of the people that is high on the Timberwolves long term. But in terms of like regular season now, they've lost my trust. Like not even like a team that I'm throwing in money line parlays anymore. They've cost me too many of those, losing to just awful teams. Like I do not trust them as on a night by night basis. I do think that in the postseason, I trust like for Chris Finch. I trust the defensive, players that they have in that rotation. I think that Dosunmu is a good pickup. I just like the rotation overall, and I do think that maybe it's like. It's not quite a championship hangover, but it's a case of like we've been to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. We don't care when we play these bad teams. It shouldn't be that way, but maybe that's what it is. I think that they're going to be a really tough out, and I think that there's a chance they could beat anyone. Winning like 3 series in a row definitely seems like a long shot at this point, but yeah, I would not rule it out. I still have them in the top 4. They're number 4 for me though in that top tier in the Western Conference. But yeah, night by night, absolutely zero trust.
Well, and they still have yet to, and it actually drives me nuts if it ties into the awards. Listening to some journalists just kind of throw Rudy Gobert into like, yeah, he might be 3rd for Defensive Player of the Year. They still haven't figured out defensively what to do when Gobert's off the floor. They're still giving up 121.6 points every 100 possessions without him out there. Those non-Gobert minutes defensively are an absolute adventure. And yes, like they're better offensively and they're still outscoring opponents in those minutes, but just by like 1.5 points. It's not like they're still dominant without Gobert out there. And I think that leads to the lack of trust on a night-to-night basis. And it also drives me nuts because he should be more realistic to win Defensive Player of the Year. I've only heard a small sample size of voices, so we'll see if that actually holds up. But that to me is also part of what's been going on with them. They're so inconsistent defensively, and it just ties into whether or not Gobert's playing or not.
Yeah, it's weird because they're like one of the best defensive teams in the league when Gobert's on the floor. They're one of the best offensive teams in the league when Edwards is on the floor, but like something just hasn't clicked overall with the rotation. I do think that Dosunmu will kind of smooth things over moving forward. Like I do think it was like a 1-for-1 like replacement for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe even a little bit better for like just compared to what he's bringing off the bench. But hopefully they kind of figure it out. I do think this is a team that should be able to put up a fight in the West.
Yes, I mean, I would agree. Individual talent, everything combined. Like, there's not any one series that I don't think they can't win. If that was a lot of negatives. There's not any one series that they wouldn't like. It's impossible for them to win. But like you've mentioned, I mean, if you have to run the gamut through a healthy Nuggets team, the Thunder, the Spurs, I trust that they're going to win all 3 of those. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's tough. All right. If you're looking to sharpen your edge this NBA season, VSiN Pro is where to start. Get advanced analytics, player prop projections, and expert insights used by serious bettors every day. Try it out for only $9.99 for your first month and see what smart bettors are using to beat the books. Head to vsin.com/subscribe and check out all of our subscription options. I keep saying it. I think this is one of the best times of the year to take advantage of the $9.99 offer just because we have so much college basketball coming up. Also have MLB. It's a really good time to just see what we can do for 30 days and then, reconsider staying with us, which I think you're going to want to. But yeah, definitely a good time to take advantage of our offers. And let's move on now. We'll recap the best bets quickly. I just did want to get your thoughts and hear if any, awards that you still think have some value, any, gripes you have with some awards processes. I know I do with the most improved player, but anything else futures wise, you can talk teams too. I'll just roll out the carpet to you.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, one of the things that I keep harping on here, and the Harden news made me fear it for a second, but I still think we have a shot. Although last night I was hoping that the Thunder could pull it off. I'm still kind of holding out on this Cavaliers division thing. I mean, the schedule for them is going to be so easy now moving forward past this Knicks game, and the Pistons schedule is going to beef up here a little bit, and we'll see if maybe they do falter. But 13-1 again, it's a long shot-ish at this point, given how many games are left. But I think the Cavaliers can make the Pistons sweat there for that division title. And as far as awards are concerned, I mean, I'm just kind of disappointed. I don't know if I texted this to you guys, but I know I told Stormy our Keontae George ticket, I think, is dead, considering the Jazz just don't want to play him anymore, which is absolutely frustrating. With Denny Avdia now missing some time, I mean, I don't know what this opens up the door for, whether it's Jalen Johnson or Jalen Duren, who's going to be there. I know that we got a suggestion from our former colleague Dan Miller about sorry, I'm blanking you. Ryan Rollins. Yeah, thank you. He's now down to 12-1, so we'll see if that actually happens at this point right now. But out of everything, the one that I would ask you about, and the thing that I've been playing with, we're making so much about this battle of attrition with these guys missing time. Should I just lay $1.25 for Shea to win MVP? Because if he is healthy, he's winning it. If he makes the 65-game mark, he is winning it, given the way that straw poll went down. And maybe we're overthinking this games missed and all of these sort of things, and that the real answer is staring us right in the face. It's Occam's razor. It's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, you idiots.
The one thing I'm concerned about with SGA is that, like, I've said this, like, you need to play also 20-plus minutes in 63 of the 65 games you play, too. So if at the end of the year they're just, like, throwing him on the – like, the plan was to just throw him on the floor to help him win the award in games that don't matter.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to work. You don't have to play 20 minutes in those games. You'll have to risk him getting injured. So is that something that you think might get in the way too, in addition to him just missing games?
Yeah, that's a fair consideration. That's why I was questioning, like with Jokic and his games missed, because the game that he got hurt in, he only played like 18 minutes. He didn't get to that 20-minute mark. So that is something that works against him too. And here's the other thing, because the other part, because I talked about this with Mitch on the pod the other day, and he asked, is there a bet to make right now? And outside of Shea, my other suggestion was, should we actually be playing Victor Wembanyama to win MVP? If the war of attrition goes the way of Shea and Nikola Jokic being pushed to the wayside because they are not eligible enough, and let's say Wembanyama pushes through, guts through, doesn't miss enough time, he's eligible. If they're the two, I mean, they can still be the one seed. We should even throw that out there. If they are the two, or maybe, God forbid, the one seed in the Western Conference, would voters look at Victor Wembanyama at MVP over Cade Cunningham? The assumption has been that in this situation, that if everybody falls off, that Cade would be the recipient by default, but maybe it's actually Wemby.
Yeah, I've been thinking about MVP for a bit, because I do think that everybody's kind of talking about Cade a little too much. Like, I think that Wemby has a chance if it's not one of those two. I think that Jaylen Brown, as bad as his like advanced stats profile has been, like the traditional stats and what he has meant to Boston make him a part of that conversation, at least. I'm a little surprised that he's so far down. But yeah, Wemby's becoming really interesting in a few markets, because I have Gobert in Defensive Player of the Year. Now I'm starting to think that, like, yeah, it's just going to be Wemby. He's not going to miss these games.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly doesn't want to, and I think, yeah, and I would be clear too, because I see a lot of people complaining about, like, Cade isn't a strong MVP candidate. It's not about thinking he's an MVP candidate. In this season, if everybody was eligible, we wouldn't be thinking about Cade as winning the MVP. The situation that has to happen is that Shea and Jokic have to be ruled ineligible, and I've thought more and more about it, and I just think that in a scenario where it's like Victor Wembanyama, Cade Cunningham, and Jaylen Brown, we'll say, as like our top three candidates because everybody else can't make it, and Luka Doncic isn't winning it, he stinks. I feel I felt more and more that maybe Victor would beat Cade, but then Cade would beat Jaylen Brown if like those were our only two left. So we'll see. But I mean, Brown, go back to the straw poll, Zach. I said this the other day because it's funny. The morning radio show, is it Unsportsmanlike Conduct on ESPN? They were having some conversation. They put the clip out on Twitter, and it was like, you know, if Jaylen Brown wins MVP, then his career's been better than Jason Tatum. And I retweeted it, and I was like, your own colleague put out a straw poll in which he was left off 57 ballots and didn't receive a first or a second place vote. How does he overcome that gap in any way, shape, or form, even if the top two guys get ruled ineligible? I just find that really hard to believe that he would.
It's up. I'm just becoming so angry with the award season. The Keontae George one's going to drive me to insanity. If he plays 65 and doesn't win, I just don't understand what the point of the award is. Right. I say this like every year, and it's like it goes to somebody that made like the leap to like all-star from like being almost an all-star. But like there's been a leap from somebody that was out of rotation, or like a borderline out of rotation last year, very close to being out, to now being pretty much an all-star. Like that's exactly what this award should go to. I'm just already so bad about it.
I know. Watch us actually win it. But like this whole time, we're just getting pissed about it. I mean, I'm with you. There's quite literally not a player who has made improvements to his game on the level of Keontae George.
Yeah, and like Jalen Johnson, like I end up hating on him a lot, but like he's so bad defensively that it's almost like the numbers he puts up on offense like need to be discounted a little. Sure,
of course. I mean, it's kind of like Luka, right? I mean, it's why I don't think Luka's gonna. I've said this for like 2 months now, and it's because it's I think written in stone at this point. I never took Doncic seriously as an MVP candidate because he's not good on defense. Yep. He is getting worse and worse with this bitching at officials about the I think was it the Jaylen Brown or whatever the Celtics sequence was, where he tries to, I think it was Brown who closes out on a three. He completely flops and tries to get a foul call on the 3-point attempt and then lets them go back the other way for the layup. That's like, he's awful, man. And I don't think these voters are ever going to take him seriously until he stops doing that.
Yeah. The hate for that has been like, ratcheted up a ton in terms of volume lately, so he's got to stop doing it. I was watching that Magic game the other night, and like he just could not stop talking. Yep. Also, it was awful. So yeah, it's making like the experience of watching like a great player like boring or like terrible. I don't know.
And this might just be who I am to an extent. Not that I'm some badass, but like if I'm like JJ Redick, at some point, I don't care if you're like the star player. Don't you tell him, dude, shut the up.
Yeah.
Will you stop doing this and then just spend an entire, I don't care if he wants to leave the team afterwards, and spend an entire practice of tape or whatever, a tape sequence, just showing him play after play after play after play of like, look at what you have done. Look what you have allowed because you continue to do this. Shut up and play. And it's amazing. Nobody wants to do it.
They're like, they've become my favorite team to face. I know you just said it before.
Yeah.
Like, if they play a good team, they don't win. If they play a bad team, they win.
Here, I'll pull it up really quickly because I was citing these numbers the other day and I haven't checked them in a little bit, but you could filter by like opponent net rating. Lakers are 5-11 still against teams with the top 10 net rating. They're getting outscored by 12.7 points every 100 possessions, and they're giving up 122.6. So like they've been brutal.
All right, one last question before I get you out of here. Actually, we'll recap best bets after, but do you have Bucks fever yet?
No, I don't. I know you texted about this the other day. I guess Giannis is coming back. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust. I know it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. That backcourt scares me. That is a very volatile backcourt.
I love the backcourt. I mean, I don't
entertaining.
I'm not allowed. I know that I liked Impractical Jokers. I can't say I liked Kevin Porter Jr., but I enjoy his. I enjoy his game. Yeah. I don't support the player and his off-court conduct, but I think that they have something there in Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. and then Thomas and some limited minutes off the bench. And I guess like the series I look at and like say to myself, it's like if it's Pistons Bucks in the first round, and your entire like Detroit team is built on like Cade Cunningham being the best player on the floor. Sure. He's not the best player on the floor in that series. And it becomes like very murky in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I can understand like Bucks fever in the sense of if they get in, can they win a series against certain opponents? I would say absolutely. I think that makes some sense that they would be able to do it. I guess to your point too, like I think the Knicks would find themselves in a scrap if it was like Bucks Knicks and Giannis was out there for all 7 games. Because the Knicks, I don't really trust at this point right now. So I can understand it to an extent. And we'll see. I mean, I think that we've talked about this before. I actually think the fly in the ointment in the Eastern Conference that we should maybe consider more of is, of course, the Philadelphia 76ers. I think I've brought this up to you a couple of times. We recited Embiid's numbers earlier when we were talking about that game tonight. If they get that version of Joel Embiid, I mean, that's going to be an absolute nightmare for the Eastern Conference. And we'll see. I mean, we've been waiting for that for a really long time.
Yeah, I think if George and Embiid are both healthy, nobody wants to see Philadelphia in the postseason. Like that's
George better be healthy. He's got some time off.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, he should come back like awesome. I've been thinking that too. Yeah, the Bucks. I guess for me, it's like I took like a pizza money play on like 250 to 1 for them to win the East, but the plays I really have are 750 to make the play in and 25 to 1 to make the playoffs. So those are the ones that I'm getting excited about. So hopefully they could just knock Atlanta out.
I'm getting pissed because I've got some good numbers on. I've got the Hornets at like plus 450 to make the play in and 12 to 1 to make the playoffs. And they're ripping off wins left and right, and they can't create any distance between them and the Bucks. It's still only a 1-game lead because Milwaukee won't stop at all. So, and then of course you have these other teams. I mean, the Hawks are playing relatively well, but I'm kind of hoping the Hornets can catch them. And then we talked about that stretch for Miami. Like if I'm dead right about this Hornets team, I think we all were right. We all have these win totals over. We like them, and I have these really good numbers on them to make the playoffs and the play-in. If I lose out on this because these other teams just won't stop, like it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's the Hawks that just slide out and we get both the Hornets and Bucks in. That'd be the win, the best win-win situation.
What's the old joke? It's I want the Hawks to attend my funeral so they can let me down one more time. Like this would be it, right? The 1 year where I'm just like, no, I'm not betting anything on Atlanta. You know, every year how often was it? We're like, yeah, I like them to win the division. Oh, I like them to do this, and then the 1 year I don't, they're going to screw me and knock my team out here in the Hornets for the play-in picture.
Oh, well, I have something on Atlanta. It's just not even close to winning.
Yeah.
It's 46.5 was the over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's terrible. But all right, let's recap our best bets and then get you out of here. I have Tyrese Maxey over 7.5 assists at plus 112 versus the Heat. I have the Magic money line plus 118 versus the Rockets. Then I have the Clippers plus 5.5 at minus 108. Playing that to win 1.5 units, and the Clippers money line at plus 185, risking a half a unit against the Timberwolves.
Yep. 76ers minus 1.5 against the Miami Heat. We've got the Orlando Magic plus 2.5 at home against the Houston Rockets. Since our conversation, I am going to lay 4.5 with the Los Angeles Lakers. And for our audience, my fun money line parlay fading some of the tanking teams. We have the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks, the San Antonio Spurs, and then I threw in the New Orleans Pelicans as well with a little bit of an odds boost. It was plus 159. Without it, it was about plus 130.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on again. Hopefully we'll do it again next Thursday. And, good luck to everybody that's tailing tonight. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for the Friday edition of Hardwood Handicappers.